And welcome back to IGN Live at San Diego Comic-Con.
I'm so glad you're back, Damon.
I'm back.
That Troy Baker, he's a scary cat.
I know. You handle him well, though. You know how to take care of him.
It's these pretty boys. They think they can push me around? Nobody pushes Greg Miller around, right?
Viewers, we've been talking about a lot. There's still a lot more to talk about. We're live streaming from Comic-Con 3 days in a row. Today, tomorrow, and Saturday. We want you to be a part of the show. Tweet your questions at IGN, #SDCC. We'll share them here on the show. You know, Greg, there's a lot going on over at Marvel.
Yeah,
these days,
they're busy. We talked a little bit about this, movie empire they have and this TV empire they're building. And then, of course, they make comic books as well. There's some animated things they do.
Yeah. Here to fill us in on everything that's going on at Marvel are two Joes. IGN's Joey and Joe Quesada from Marvel.
Guys, how you doing?
Joe, thanks so much for coming on. This is a huge honor. A lot of people know you maybe from your comic artwork. You were editor-in-chief at Marvel for a while, but now you're the chief creative officer.
Yes.
So can you just explain, I guess, a little bit about what your sort of day-to-day is like?
The beauty of my day-to-day is that there's no 2 days that are alike. Every day I wake up and there's a different project for me to do. Some days I'm drawing, some days I'm writing, some days I'm reviewing scripts, whether they're animation scripts, movie scripts, TV scripts. Some days I'm involved in just large creative meetings about like the global, sort of just globally where Marvel's going creatively. There's just so many things that sort of happen during the course of my day that literally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no 2 days are alike. And then there are days where I just end up in San Diego with guys like you. And just hang out.
That's okay.
I'm sorry about them, by the way.
Oh, Joey, no.
We'll just ignore that.
Yeah.
Right?
And obviously, Marvel is huge right now in terms of movies and television stuff. So what's your role in terms of all those sort of multimedia projects?
I'm just sort of involved in all of them. In the movie sense, definitely involved in the script stage, whether it's outlines, screenplays, and consulting on different areas. Whether it's some of the artwork or things that are going on. On the television side, also very much the same. Probably a little more involved right now in television because we're just starting that division up.
Right.
I was very, very hands-on with animation as well with Jeff Loeb, and Jeff is doing a wonderful job. So television is the new frontier for us, live action television in particular.
You got S.H.I.E.L.D. coming.
It's coming, man. It's coming.
How do you bring Coulson back from the dead?
Yeah, tell us all the
really want to know?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to tell anybody how to do that.
I'm going to watch it no matter what, man.
I don't care. I like my job.
But you are the man with all the secrets, then.
I do know all the secrets. Yes, I do. I even know a few about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
really,
won't tell anybody.
That's scary.
What's Joey's origin
We're live right now. Let's keep it
seriously, man. I don't want to embarrass the guy.
Hey, it's fine.
By the way, this is water. This is not scotch.
He's lying.
Yeah, it's not 5 o'clock yet.
Obviously the movies...
In New York it is, by the way.
That's a good point.
And the movies, TV stuff, it's all huge, but obviously it all comes back to the comic books. And last year, you were at Comic-Con talking about the Marvel Now initiative that just announced like a few weeks before that. So have you guys seen that as a success?
I think it's been a great success. I mean, literally, I stepped onto the con floor for 5 minutes just to grab my badge, and I had like 2 people pull me aside and say, I've just been crazed from Marvel since Marvel Now. Whatever you guys were planning on doing, mission accomplished. So when people pull me aside and say that, that's like the greatest feeling ever, and it really just tells me that we're onto something. So I think it's been a great initiative for us. It's brought people back. It's introduced us to new fans as well, and we're just going to continue doing more of what we do. And it's what we try to do consistently in Marvel is refresh our universe without necessarily just blowing it up and starting all over again.
Right. So
That's refreshing.
Well, I always like to say at Marvel we don't have a crisis.
Ooh.
I get
Rim shot.
I get that.
And last year you launched a bunch of new number ones. You changed creative teams. You did a whole bunch of new digital initiatives. And that was just year one. So what's the next phase that you guys are shooting for?
We've got a bunch of things that are going to be announced at the con, and a lot of things that won't be announced just yet at the con. Okay. But we are looking at a bunch of different stories and different big events for the Marvel Universe. One in particular that I'm really, really excited about. Again, it's just too early for me to talk about, but it's one that I've been pushing for at least the last 2 years of Marvel. We're finally going to get there. So we're constantly churning through wonderful stories at Marvel, and we have some of the best creators on the planet that work for us, and some of the best editors, in comics that work for us. So when we all get together and form the hive mind, crazy stuff happens. But I'm really, really excited about the stuff that's going down with publishing and every other division at Marvel.
Cool. One thing that I love about Marvel right now is you have such a wide variety of different kinds of books. You have the straight-up superhero books, but you have things like Hawkeye, which are so unique. Is that something you guys are actively striving to sort of...
We're always looking for that great mix, right? And you know, we could have tried to put out a book like Hawkeye a few years ago with a different creative team, and it might not have worked. But in particular, Matt Fraction just had a great take on the character, and it just worked. You can never really predict when that sort of stuff is going to happen. You can usually predict with the bigger books, right? You take a book like Avengers, and you take a top line creator like a Bendis or a Hickman, and you know it's going to sell well because it's the Avengers. But when you take some of the sort of minor characters from that team or other minor characters in the Marvel Universe, you never know who's exactly going to click with what. But this was just a perfect marriage, and Matt really just has a voice for that character and an idea for that character that really, really works. So it's alchemy. You just never know what's going to happen. But in the case of something like Hawkeye, I think it worked really well.
I dig it because a lot of times you see when the movies come out, there's sort of the books sort of almost mold to what is happening in the movies, but Hawkeye especially is like totally different, and I love that about it. Do you think that could influence, the movie character?
It absolutely could. It really could. But that's really up to the guys at Marvel Studios to see, what they will pull from it. Because if you look at our movies, the beauty of our movies is that they're not just pulling from one source. They're pulling from classic '60s material. They're pulling from classic modern day material. They're pulling from the Ultimate material. They're pulling from all different areas. And the great part about movies is that they can cherry pick from everything and just say, okay, that's the best piece of Captain America that we like from the Ultimate years, and the best piece we like from Stan Lee or from Joe Simon and Kirby, and they just put it all together into this great package that then people just get this great Captain America movie. And by the way, Captain America 2 is going to be amazing.
I can't wait.
As is Thor 2. I don't want to shirk Thor, but Captain America is going to be pretty amazing. We have the ability to do that kind of stuff, and that's the wonderful thing about the movie. So, if there were ever to be a Hawkeye movie, and I'm not announcing a Hawkeye movie, I'm not. I'm just saying if that would ever happen.
Starting to write the article.
No. I'm just saying, in a world, if we actually did a Hawkeye movie, I can't imagine that Kevin Feige and his team of studios would not be looking at stuff that Matt would be doing and at least take some things from that and apply it to Hawkeye, as well as some of the stuff that happened in the Ultimate Universe and then classic Hawkeye material.
Awesome. And one of the other big things at Marvel now is the whole digital stuff that you guys are doing with the AR stuff and the motion comics, not the motion comics, the Infinite Comics,
yes.
But last time we talked, which was right after the initial announcement of Marvel Now, you likened the digital stuff that you were doing a year ago would be like cave drawings a year or two out the line. So do you feel like you've progressed at that level, and what's next?
I do. I mean, you're paraphrasing a little bit because I wouldn't have said like a year down the line it would look like cave drawings, but I certainly anticipated that 5, 6, 7, 10 years down the road we would want to look at this and go, wow, it's amazing how we were doing it back then because it's so archaic to what we're doing now. We've got tons of plans with wonderful digital initiatives and different ways of looking at comics. I'm really proud of the Infinite comic in particular because I really do think that in the digital realm, that's how people will be reading their comic books. It's something that it was one of my big initiatives at Marvel that I really loved. That before it was called Infinite, that particular manner of telling a story digitally was something that I thought was really perfect for comic books because it kept the purity of what is a comic, which is the reader controls the timing and delivery of the story, while at the same time using the beauty of the digital world and the apertures that it gives you, whether you're on a tablet or on your phone or on your computer. So I'm very, very proud of that. And we're as is the way at Marvel, we're working on stuff right now that is a year, 2 years down the road with respect to digital and what we want to do and different forms that we want to take it and different techniques that we want to use that eventually our fans will see. So I do think that at Marvel we've been way ahead of the curve in the digital world, and from everything that we do, we really plan on keeping that going.
And Joe, you're talking about being ahead of the digital curve. I have a Twitter question here for you. Of course, everybody tweet at IGN. Hashtag SDCC. Get your question right on the air, just like we're going to do here. You better ask about the Civil War movie. Now, I'm not putting you on the spot. There's a lot of caps there and a one. Where he meant to put an exclamation.
You mean like Lincoln?
Yeah.
Was that the Civil War movie?
Yeah. No, but stick with me for a second. I'm going somewhere with this.
You're going.
I know you're not going to announce the Civil War movie with us, but Marvel is awesome. Do you see it getting to a point where you could do a Civil War movie where...
Why couldn't we? I mean, I think any of the great classic Marvel stories could absolutely, obviously with some trimming here and there.
Sure.
So many of them, have deep season continuity and stuff. But if it's a great story, it's a great story. And I could absolutely see something like Civil War somewhere down the road being adapted into a Marvel movie. Whether that's something we'll do.
Sure, yeah. If it would ever happen,
I couldn't tell you, but yeah, I think Civil War is one of those stories that could very easily be adapted into a Marvel movie. It could, you could even adapt it into, a S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show if really looked at it. But a great story is a great story. So I couldn't say we wouldn't do it, but I can't tell you we will.
No. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, you guys are so great at taking your properties and letting them grow or build to something, like you did with the first Avengers, right? And the fact that you just put out a Deadpool video game, right? Like, who would have thought that Marvel was going to put out a rated M Deadpool game where he curses and does all this crazy stuff? But you did it, and you take those chances. And X-Men Origins, Wolverine, his skin's getting torn off and all this other stuff. But then you have the opposite now with, like, Lego Marvel superheroes, where he's a cutesy Wolverine, and he gets burned down a little animated Lego skeleton. Like, you guys take chances with stuff, and I think that's what's really fascinating about how you guys treat your properties.
Thank you. I mean, we do, but there's always a strategy behind everything that we do. Nothing happens at Marvel haphazardly.
Sure.
We'll make mistakes here and there, but we do everything in a very collaborative fashion. Whether it's collaborating internally within all the divisions, or with our creators, or both. But none of this stuff happens by chance. And I think even if you look at our publishing division, when we start taking a property like Guardians of the Galaxy, right, or Nova, and we start putting top-line creative guys like Ed McGuinness, Jeff Loeb on Nova, or Brian and Steve McNiven on Guardians, we're trying to tell our audience something, right? In particular, that cosmic, that part of the Marvel Universe is really, really important to us. Hence, that's why we're doing a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, because we really think there's something there. So all this stuff is done with a larger strategy in mind, which is taking these properties and, again, even flashing back to when Bendis took over the Avengers. It's because we knew there was an Avengers movie coming, and we really wanted to give the Avengers the brightest, hottest spotlight possible. So we put our best creative on it, and even if you weren't an Avengers fan, you at least have to pick up the first issue. And hopefully the creative that we have on that book is so great that you end up loving the book and you become an Avengers fan. And as we get to an Avengers movie, we start that excitement bubbling within the fan base, the comic book fan base, because at the end of the day, they're the prime movers of everything they do. They tell us what's great and what isn't great, and we listen. We really, really do, because to me at Marvel, our comics and our sales are very democratic. Fans vote with their dollars or with their feet. When they vote with their feet, we know we've got to move on to the next thing. So, and so we try to at least also guide those feet so that they at least pick up the first issue of something that we think is really, really important to us. And that particular philosophy is something that we do across the company in all the divisions. So, because we're all constantly talking to each other, and that's kind of also my role at Marvel as Chief Creative Officer. I interact with all the divisions as much as I humanly can, and I'll sit there in an animation meeting, and I'll be talking to the writers and say, listen, we may want to tweak this character in this way because this thing is coming down in publishing, and this thing is coming down from studios, and something is happening in television. So we don't want to be caught completely in left field with a character that doesn't look like, sound like, or act like anything else that's happening within the company. So that I do a lot of that as well.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for joining today.
Thanks, guys.
We were praising Marvel earlier before you were on the show. Just involved in so much movies, TV, comics, animation, and pulling it off so masterfully. For lack of a better way of saying it, Marvel just really has its shit together.
Thank you, man.
Very impressive.
Total world domination. That's what we're after. We're like Hydra.
Enjoy the rest.
Well, let's not associate yourself with that.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
All right.
Joe, you stick around.
I'll be here.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, in a moment we're going to take a quick break, but not exactly right
good.
yet.
Thank goodness.
Can we pull up?
Can we chill out now?
Can we look at a tweet here? Nick, is that okay?
We're pulling up a tweet, everybody.
Remember
tweet
viewers.
at IGN, #SDCC to be part of the show. I'm upset. I wanted to tell Joe how much I liked him in Jay and Silent Bob Strike
He's
Back.
right there.
Well, the camera isn't on him, and he's not.
So
mine,
he doesn't
he's dead
exist
to us. It was a pleasure knowing him. Thank
knows
you.
now.
See, he liked
He
it.
knows.
He's fine now. There we go. Everything's fine. Jeez, Louise Hatfield, immediately under the bus.
I have an important question for you, Greg.
Yeah.
What are you going to wear to the party tonight? This?
I brought a backup shirt and a backup tie I'm going to switch into before I go do the South Park panel. And then I'm going to wear that.
Stick with the vest, though.
Of course. A vest and tie every day, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Got to look fly. Woo! Yeah!
I think I'm going to stick with this.
Once it starts, I can't stop the screams.
No, I know.
The night terrors. They call them daywalk terrors, Joey. Why don't you come hang out in San Francisco?
I'm good, man. I'll stick to LA.
All right, well, you can have it your way.
In my cheer
Nobody
shirt.
calls them that.
Damn it, it's our first day is wrapping up.
Yeah?
Can you believe it? Only 2 more of these.
Oh, I know, but we have a lot of exciting stuff to talk
Like
about.
what?
Tomorrow, too. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about Dexter, Falling Skies, Kick-Ass 2, Godzilla. Sounds something I'm very, very excited about.
I think Walking Dead TV's tomorrow too?
Walking Dead.
Ooh, I'm on that one. I'm excited
The
about
300 prequel, Rise of an Empire, is going to be on there. And then I think the big climax of tomorrow's show is The World's End with Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost.
Not a bad day.
Back in for that. You got it.
Not bad.
Yeah. Joey, stick around for that.
I'll be here.
You sit right here overnight. You
I'm
make
here
sure
all
no one
day.
steals this.
Now we're going to take that quick break.
Finally.
When we come back, we'll wrap up the show. Stay tuned.